Welcome to today's Explainer. If you're a focused learner trying to figure out how to study abroad without completely emptying your bank account, you're in the exact right spot. Today, we're cutting through all that marketing hype to show you the hard data on free international tuition for 2026. Get ready, because we're talking real costs, real visa rules, and those sneaky hidden requirements that can literally make or break your plans.
Let's start with the absolute dream scenario. Yes, in 2026, you can still pack up your life, move across the world, and study at a top-tier university for literally €0 in tuition. Sounds insane, right? Almost too good to be true. Well, it is true, but as we're going to see, that word free carries some pretty massive asterisks.
Okay, let's dive into this because there's a huge central tension when it comes to studying abroad right now. On one hand, you've got that beautiful, alluring €0 tuition fee. But on the exact opposite side, you're hit with the heavy, unavoidable reality of mandatory living costs. Think about it. Rent, groceries, transportation. Those definitely don't become magically free just because your classes are. The bottom line here, free tuition absolutely does not mean free living.
Here is the roadmap for our explainer today. We're going to hit 1. The free tuition reality, 2. Germany versus Norway, 3. The language loophole, 4. EU-exclusive parks, and 5. Finding your match.
All right, Section 1, the free tuition reality. What does free actually mean?
When you take a macro look at European study spots, we're talking Germany, Norway, Austria, the Czech Republic, those tuition columns are just beautifully packed with zeros, or at least really low numbers. But the hidden catch? It's all in the monthly living costs. We're looking at a massive range here. You can find a super affordable €500 a month in the Czech Republic, but then you scale all the way up to a staggering €1,600 a month in Norway. The tuition might be zero, sure, but your monthly budget is going to require some serious planning.
And you know what? Living costs aren't even the only hurdle. Just look at these hidden fees. You absolutely have to factor in mandatory health insurance. In Germany, for example, that's going to run you about €110 every single month. Then you've got visa and residence permit fees, which are all over the map, from maybe €60 in Germany to well over €300 in Norway. Add in your semester transport tickets, which are usually between €100 and €300, plus your study materials, and suddenly you realize that a free education actually requires a pretty decent chunk of upfront capital.
Now, what is truly fascinating is this specific number right here, €11,904. This represents the German blocked account requirement. Now, this isn't a fee you pay to your university. No, this is the exact amount of your own cash that you have to prove you have sitting in a restricted bank account just to get your student visa. It really vividly visualizes the strict financial reality of proving your funds. Sure, you get to withdraw a set amount each month to live on, but you have to have this massive lump sum up front before you even start packing your bags.
Moving right along to Section 2, Germany versus Norway. These are our top free destinations.
Right now, these are without a doubt the two most generous countries in the world for non-EU students. But let's contrast them directly. Germany offers zero tuition at public universities in 15 out of its 16 states. You just pay this tiny administrative semester fee of €150 to €400, and honestly, that usually includes your public transit pass anyway. Living costs, totally manageable, hovering around €850 to €1,200 a month. Norway, on the other hand, charges absolute zero tuition with an even tinier €55 semester fee, keeping things hyper-accessible. But here is the massive catch. Food and rent in Norway are just brutally expensive. The immigration authority actually requires proof of 137,907 Norwegian krone, that translates to roughly €12,600, just to prove you can cover your living expenses for the year.
But hey, the financial calculation isn't just about what you're spending, it's about what you can earn afterward, right? Let's look at post-study work visas. Norway gives you 12 months to hunt for a job. Austria offers the really cool skilled worker permit, the red, white, red card. But Germany is the ultimate career accelerator here. They give you a massive 18-month job seekers visa, and if you land a job, you can actually fast-track to permanent residency in as little as 2 years. For long-term return on investment, Germany is just incredibly hard to beat.
All right, Section 3, the language loophole. Let's talk about studying in the local language.
If you are willing to put in some serious intellectual sweat equity, you need to know about the language loophole. It is exactly what it sounds like. In a country like the Czech Republic, if you want to study in English, you're going to pay anywhere from €2,000 to €15,000 a year. But
If you invest the time to actually learn the Czech language and you pass their entrance exams in Czech, your tuition drops to 100% free, period, regardless of your nationality. Yes, Czech is a tough language to master, but when you combine zero tuition with living costs of just 500 to 800 euros a month in gorgeous cities like Prague or Brno, the total savings are just absolutely massive.
Austria offers a really fantastic middle ground here too. If you're a non-EU student, you pay a super low fee of just about 726 euros per semester. Guys, that is a fraction of what you'd pay in the US or the UK. Now, while there are a few English master's programs out there, the vast majority are taught in German. If you put in the effort to speak German, you unlock this incredibly high-quality education in cities like Vienna or Innsbruck. Plus, you've got really reasonable living costs, around 900 to 1,300 euros a month, and a direct pathway right into their workforce.
Next up, Section 4, EU exclusive perks. Let's look at the benefits specifically for EU citizens. So for viewers holding a passport from an EU or EEA country, your experience is vastly different. Finland and Sweden used to be free for everybody, but a few years ago, they abolished free tuition for non-EU citizens. Today, a non-EU student might pay up to 18,000 euros a year in Finland or even over 26,000 in Sweden. But for EU citizens, it is a perfectly pristine €0. Even France gets in on the action, charging EU students a mere 170 to 380 euros a year, while non-EU students pay almost 10 times that amount. If you've got that EU passport, these Nordic and Western European options are just incredible assets.
And speaking of incredible assets for EU citizens, we absolutely have to talk about Estonia. It's basically the ultimate startup launchpad. If you're an EU citizen studying in Estonian, your tuition is zero. But even if you choose to study in English, it is still incredibly affordable. What really makes Estonia stand out, though, is the rock-bottom living cost of 700 to 1,000 euros a month in a super tech-forward hub like Tallinn. More importantly, they offer an 18-month startup visa with literally zero minimum capital required. If you're an aspiring tech founder, this is hands down your ultimate destination.
Let's move to Section 5, Finding Your Match. Which country is actually the best fit for you?
We've covered all the costs, the loopholes, and the exclusive perks. Now, I want you to ask yourself, which country should you choose? You need to think really deeply right now about your specific passport, your realistic budget, and how willing you are to learn a new language. These three variables are exactly what will dictate your best path forward.
Let's systematically match up your profile. If you're a non-EU student who only wants to study in English and you want the absolute best post-study career options, your perfect match is Germany. If you're non-EU and you absolutely demand 100% free tuition no matter how high the living costs get, you need to look at Norway. If you're an EU citizen searching for the lowest living costs possible, learning Czech and moving to the Czech Republic is definitely your move. And if you're that EU citizen with a big tech and startup focus, get yourself to Estonia immediately.
Before we wrap things up, I want to give you a really crucial piece of perspective regarding your total annual costs. Yes, Norway is going to require about 17,000 euros a year total, once you factor in those extreme living expenses. Germany sits pretty comfortably at around 11,000 euros. But honestly, even the most expensive free tuition country, Norway, is vastly cheaper than just the tuition alone at a mid-tier university in the US or the UK.
And that brings us to our final question for you to ponder today. Is the upfront cost of high living expenses or the intense, grueling effort required to learn a whole new language actually worth the lifetime return on investment? Whether it means graduating completely debt-free, securing a massive 18-month job seeker visa, or launching your own startup right in Europe, the data suggests the answer is a resounding yes. The opportunities are absolutely out there for 2026. You just need the focus to go out and claim them. So the only real question left is, which language app are you downloading tonight?